So I want to talk to you guys today about a very common misconception that people have. And this is that a tired dog is a calm dog and that tiring your dog out, completely is great for them and so on and so forth. This is something that unfortunately is a pretty common belief and a pretty popular belief. People equate a dog who is tired or resting to a dog who is calm. And those are two separate things. There's two separate things. Number one, it is still very possible to be completely stressed out and to be exhausted. And to be like, taking a stress nap, or the alternative, not being able to sleep because you're stressed. Very, very, very common. As a matter of fact, we see that with little puppies all the time who are just not getting enough sleep, and they tend to be very wild and hyper puppies because they're not sleeping enough, whether they're being kept up by their families accidentally, or maybe there's kids in the house who are keeping the puppy up, and those puppies are actually not developing properly if they're being kept up. But it's just an example of how they're exhausted. And their behavior, of course, is taking hits because of that. They can't regulate their emotions anymore. They can't function well as, little puppies do. They need sleep. So we can also see that in adult dogs too, where they are like hyperactive and they just have to go, 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 go. And then, if somebody's not throwing the ball for them, they're just vibrating and they just can't handle it. And then the owner's like, yeah, well, I throw the ball for him all day, and then he finally rests, and that's what I do with my dog. Unfortunately, that's really not good for your dog. Like that kind of activity of I throw the ball all day and that's how I exercise my dog, like that's how they get their energy out. Number one, it's an activity that's adrenalizing your dog. They're getting really excited. They are chasing the ball down, and they're performing that again and again and again and again. And those types of repetitive, like cyclical behaviors, it's not teaching your dog how to be calm. It is not helping them in that way. And it's not actually draining them mentally either. It's potentially draining them physically, although those types of repetitive behaviors are very hard on the joints, depending on what it is. But it's not actually doing anything like of value for your dog. When we look at dogs and what their normal behaviors are out in the world, when we're looking at dogs who are village dogs or just dogs who live with little human intervention, these dogs are not performing these highly adrenalized activities at all. I mean, there may be some when they're hunting for food, or maybe they're defending their territory, or so on and so forth, but they're not having a daily dose of I chased a ball for 30 minutes. And instead, they're getting their needs met just by being a dog. They get to go explore, they get to defend their area, they get to look for food and do other things like that. And they are being biologically fulfilled by those activities. And those are all much better uses of your dog's time and of your time with your dog. Instead of throwing that ball to try and exhaust the dog, going on a sniffy walk, doing something where your dog is able to explore and it's tapping into their actual biological needs, which is not chasing a ball, you'll be able to find that your dog will be better for it. Definitely, well, I don't want to say that your dog should never chase a ball, or that activity isn't something that like you can't play with your dog. Like, I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that kind of activity should never be the sole activity that your dog does with you. It shouldn't be the sole activity that your dog does to burn energy. It definitely should not be the primary way that your dog burns energy. It should be something that you do for fun. And that's the reason you're doing it, is you're doing it for fun, not to burn your dog's energy. Going back to being calm, this is very much a skill. if your dog is full of, adrenaline and full of cortisol and other stress hormones because they were just chasing a ball, or because maybe you have a dog who's reactive or things like that, it's going to be very hard for that dog to be calm in that moment, because their body is under the influence of these stress hormones, and that is affecting the brain. And there's just a huge chain of events that occur when your dog is processing these hormones in their body, and it's not good. Your dog is not supposed to be having a lot of those hormones in their body unless they are doing something that requires it. Like maybe your dog is hunting and they have to go chase down prey. That would be a great time for some adrenaline and cortisol to limber up the body, to get them ready to go attack and capture a food animal. Or if your dog is in a life and death situation, that's another great time for adrenaline and cortisol to kick in and to help your dog survive a life or death, situation. The problem is your dog's body can't differentiate whether or not this is a life or death situation, or whether or not they're hunting something, or whether it's just a ball. So their body is going to be producing these hormones. And it's just not good. Our dogs were not designed to be under those sorts of stressors day in and day out, like what you would find with a ball throwing activity that's happening all the time. We don't want them to get be stuck under the influence of those hormones all the time. Like I said, if you want your dog, well, actually, I probably didn't say, if you want your dog to be a calmer animal and to be a dog who can have a little bit of chill, the answer is not more exercise. The answer is teaching them how to be calm and to practice calming activities. I'm not going to go into depth on those in this video. This one's already long enough, but you're going to want to practice calming things. And I can assure you, throwing that ball, throwing that frisbee, playing chase, or whatever you do with your dog that's being used to tire them out, is not calming them down. It's counterproductive. So I will see you guys in the next one. And keep safe out there and have fun with your dogs.